on to the next big things. So, you know Ukabelo, right? He's an actor, he's a comedian, content creator. Zipa is that's true now, so he is going to be joining us shortly. Should take plus minus 15 minutes. I don't have time. So if you're gonna stick to 15 minutes, make sure which one Igbo prepare a 20. I can't 15. So he's just gonna be telling us about content creation, as he's a content creator, he's an actor as well. So again, in Moshe this card, housekeeping rules, don't forget. I'm a phone, no fire silent.
Sambulan? Ni right? Nah. Ngikama ngukabelo, ngisibonga ukuthi utisi. Ngizokhuluma isiZulu. Angazi ukuthi naso isiZulu nonke. Awusuthu. Yeah. So mina I'm an actor and futhi ngi-content creator. So lento le is difficult, guys. It's difficult ufuna wena umuntu uthi uyayithanda ne guys. Uyibekezelele uyilwe. Mangiqala lento lena ne. Ngiqale ngihamba ngiphanda like ama agency like e-team. Okay, ngiqale nge-team. Ngiqale ngihamba ngifuna ama agency ngingawatholi. Kunzima ukuthi ngiwathole. So the time ukuthi ngingatholi agent yanginika i-brief yama i-background. Ngila uqala khona i-team. So I started my background, ngihamba my background until ngize ngithi yazini it doesn't work for me. Lento lengiyenzayo ayisebenzi. Angeke ngibele ngibhekana ne-background kaningi yabo. La ngithi ngiyayeka khona waza umuntu wangikhuthaza. I didn't even have a confidence. Yeah, into le. But ngibe ne-confidence ngibe ngikhona manje. It's because of ngizakala ngibiza kuyisho enje. Mangifika bangibuza ukuthi you can act, ngithi yes. Hayi shabanginika iscript but ngifunda iscript like with immediate effect but ngibamba script. Ngafunda iscript, ngafunda but can ngangena emakemereni ngithi yes. Hayi ngangena ngashoot. That's where I started to gain my confidence. And that's where I started to do content creation. The content creation mangiqala nomfana bami uKeles, the original Keles. So ngiqale kuyinto ukuthi like naye bengingayithatha serious because of bengibona ukuthi mangiposta i-video one ithi one for 2 months, 3 months. Yo. Angasho ngathi ayazini ayisebenzi lento. But naye umjida phela ngikhuthaza ukuthi no, keep on posting uzobona nawe. Usually I post every day. Okay, ngaphandle kwe Saturday pay. But Sunday ngiyapost because ngiyazi ukuthi Saturday abantu bayizindlela izinto zabo. Bayiziphuzela, bayaphuma, bayapi abekho ku social media kakhulu. So ngaqala ukuposta each and every day. And then I started to learn with edits, intonyane ezinjalo. But namanje ngisafunda and into engiyazi nge social media nge content creation I think you need to learn more. Ukufunda kuphela and i-algorithm nayo ifuna ukuthi ubele ufunda ukuthi uyazi ukuthi kahle kahle i-algorithm isipana kanjani because of change each and every day algorithm. Abantu iyachinja each and every month iyachinja i-algorithm. So ngicela ukuyifunda i-algorithm nami uyabona ukuthi okay ayifuni into sona ifuna into so nokuposta awuposti kuphela. I think niyayazi lento leyo ne ukuthi awuposti kuphela. Mawuposta nama-thumbnail now. There is this thing about this thumbnail. It's very important for wena ugrow i-account yakho yabona. So njengoba nilauncha i-content creation ngani-advise ukuthi mawuposta yenza sure ukuthi i-thumbnail yakho is very interesting. It's very abantu kusho ukuthi umuntu makayibheka before kuvula ivideo makabona i-thumbnail abona ivideo inhle abona into nice nama-hashtag ayi-important. Into oyenzayo kwivideo yakho faka ama-hashtag walento leyo uyenzayo. You understand? Caption nayo kumele idonse umuntu. Ile nto le nginganitshela yona. Anginokuningi for nina but I can tell you that. Yabona? So yeah. Mina yeah, ile nto le nginganitshela yona nje.
Nika 15 minutes wena. Hayi baba uyela. Lokuthi ngimga 15 minutes wena usipana for 4 minutes. Insokhathele. Okay, if there's any of you on my questions, the last 10 minutes, I think we can use it because it's relevant. You never get a chance to hlangane naye anywhere. Hlangana naye starting, bahlezi babhizi. Ask me, I know them. Bahlezi babhizi. Angeke azakhuluma izinto ezibalekile nawe. So please use this time wisely. If you have any questions, please raise up your hand. We'll note you. Then ukabele uzowaphendula ne. I will start. Bana. Ovele nje wangibingelela nje fast. Sure.
Usually na ki overcome jwang ne before ki kena like room ya audition balong audition ki qala ke nwa metsi ne ki qala ke nwa metsi breathe in I breathe out nna ya ka nne ke ntse ke etsang I breathe in I breathe out and then ke nyakazisa lips tsaka like abana ngidlala lips and then again I'm going to face everyone along Mutafuli Mushebile and then I start doing my thing. Now, Kia until Mtongo Dishinang Abacho, no, thank you, Kaleboa, Mtongo Ribatari Toot. Ishapa that moment agikena but akibatlo bontsha go vele ke tshuwile and stuff but dantse ke ya ke bona go ke ntse ke ya ke hantle and then ke relax alini.
Okay, any question?
Yeah. Price or challenge na koi usatsa mo black door kunya ki line kani line ni okul kani line ni okul apo ntsini wa confident so wa
Okay, because of necessity ke qala tshwara script life nya ka ne tsa tsebe go etsala eng le ntsholo ke a nganya but ne tsa tsebe go etsala eng at all. So the time banka di line e bele no go vele lena se tsing shake le kwa baba and no ntho ne shaisa le kwa baba ntho ke shake le kwa baba go ne ke promile batho ba le go khale ke ba ke fisa go ba bona. I understand. So it's about them physically, them to look into him. It's about our time. That's where Kilega Cabanal fear. But because of Nalbat back renting Kamukandi, Unam Tweeling Anka and Pels, I think I know. Why is even I didn't Wabon? Like, I think this thing about can I like it because of none to none now Hutat. Wabon. Each and every time I want to flop, one compare said, I understand. So that's where I started to see, oh, okay, sharp. If I'm not confident to go, and next I'm confident to go, why keep a try? I understand. So keep in Nesegazang, Kikunaseki, Kimika show, but script, taking to long, Kibala, in time, Aki script it to bad. One told, it will lent out, it will lent them to move. So none that time next about the script like our friend Bala lenta. So it's very important or script house ban. Ubale lenta to Lutibo Ntola. I told one so Kaban sometimes we improvise a kai buaga Katila. Yeah. And then you have to we answer you. And the Katila if in Katila how Luen. So Niki cannot confident visual. So sometimes Kifone them to look Katiba Kausan Kenali, I understand. So ki lenza kali kyonon tuniki.
Do we have more questions? I'm so disappointed. Down. We go down. No more question. Yeah. Kabelo, you mentioned something. Uti, education is key. Nokfunda like is key. Like normally when as a professional actor, I want to know from you, Uti. Is script most taller? Like let's say Batino shoot maybe next week. Do you go through it each and every day until you get it perfect, or was overlooked footage you on that day, then you're just gonna wait for a shoot?
No, it's funda each and every until when you shoot. So yeah, so that good. Nga khosha amaline wami and at the same time ngikhona ukuthi ngitranslate amaline wami ngilanguage le ngizoyishaya la yangithola. That's normally what I do. Yeah.
Okay. Nikredi mos. Sase sharp. Ngathi nthukiwe ngathi usawukabelo impintsheni sitsalana hawo. Umngani wethu angisho. Ngicela nimshayeleni izandla.
Ngiyabonga.
Ngiyazwakala ngizo-actor nawe ne.
Awuzwa.
Angangihlala uku-actor mina. But angizwani ne-script. That's one thing. Mina ne-script azwani.
Siyasifanele maka asina choice mesingeke.
Okay, so we're just gonna be checking some of our videos of Akabelo, ne? So we're gonna use this time to check some of his work. That's enough, Papi. Apart from this, I think if you follow him, maybe follow Anamanya content creators, because what I love about content creators, it doesn't mean ukuthi manje wena ujob slash uzosipana uyi-1 or uzosipana ne-team yakho siyakhona nje ukusebenzisana sibe baningi yangithola. So now we're just gonna be welcoming back ujob slash ne. There's something very important that he has to tell us again, I understand ukuthi think bigger kuba ngathi manje uJovi slash kuphela, but also as a team there are so many people le team le asebenza nayo ne. So right now he's just going to be telling us about a smartphone film ne. I remember there was a time whereby I was creating something eKasi whereby I was visiting like indawo la kubhayiswa khona igawulo la bachuna khona whatever, maybe babhayisa ama-scopers angithola, trying to document iKasi in a different way, and I was using my smartphone until I lost my phone njengoba ningibona ngiphatha iPhone engafoni nangithola. So yeah, so Jovi Slash is going to be sharing more about the smartphone films. So like I said earlier on, if you have any question, you can raise your hand or note it down. Towards the end of his session, he will try to answer as many as many questions as possible ne. Already Tuso Swagara ngambizi ngale gama ne.
Sasegrade bafethu. I'm good as well. Sengidlile ngiyadelela manje. So yeah, let's get into business. We're gonna do a couple of practical works, but before we do that, we're gonna do just handling the camera, but handling the phone. Phone as a camera, right? And then yeah, later on we're gonna do a real camera work. But for now, it's pretty much the same thing. Using the phone as a camera, the movements that you want, the shots that you want. We're gonna quickly go through that, and then we're gonna do something practical beside it, so that you guys can engage and have a sense of, you know, how to use the equipment and so forth, right? And so according to the 2026 industry evaluation, there's no specific smartphone that is ranked #1. So meaning the phone that you have, we are at the point whereby there's no excuses. You can use it to the best of ability. Now in tesele my phone is AI integration, whereby my phone was pegela, because it's enough now. You know, what you have in your phone, I do have as well. Maybe my phone can be more faster than yours, but in terms of a whole lot of things, we all have same features, and we are able to use those features. The aim is, are we drop it up? Phone. So yes, we're just going to find a way of making sure that we use the equipment that we have, the cameras that we have, effectively. So when you use your cell phones for production, it's pretty much the same as using your cameras. The stages are the same. In film, there's 3 stages. There's pre-production, there's production, and then there's post. Pre is where you plan. Simple as that. It's where you plan. So with your content as well, you have to plan thoroughly. You have to know where you are going to shoot, who you are going to be working with. It's basically getting your house in order before you shoot, so that your life becomes easier. If you have guests, because you have a podcast, you know that your guests are aware that you are shooting. You don't want your crew to get there, and then when it's time to work, Masiti guesting. I mean, I used you to shoot success. So you prep your people thoroughly, so that your production runs smoothly. So when you're using your phone, then you make sure that your phone is fully charged. You know, when the space is enough. Ungathi masiku-event ungi-interview obviously asho njani, ima kancane ngisafuna ukudelete ispace, ngishaya ngesikhathi, and maybe that's the only time that you would get a chance to interview me. So make sure that you're ready all the time. Your house is in order. You have your power bank. You have all the accessories that you need. So in terms of accessories, there's just so much in the market. You just have to make sure that you invest in yourself. Get all these things, not all of them, but you know, accessories that would go and make your life easier when you take in content. Nothing sucks like getting a correct dope video, but the sound is not good. You know, you're gonna feel like, son, it's a waste, because now You know, we can't hear the people clearly. And sometimes when you're interviewing someone, you only get one shot. And if it's not good, then you saw no now. You know. So yeah, before you film, you need to know your shots, you know. You need to know the lighting that you are going to use. Like I said earlier on, if you are going to use natural light, it's important that you know what shoot right for shooter. We'll talk about that. And then the sound, yes, sound is very crucial. You need to know if you're only using your phone, you rely on your phone for sound, then make sure that you are closer to your phone or you avoid recording in spaces like this. And then in terms of your shot compositions, you need to be very intentional. I said earlier on, if you know what's okay, you're shooting for TikTok, you're shooting reels, you know what? If only a vertical, right? It doesn't mean with lama video our savings when you're shooting horizontal, but verticals boost your chances of your video going to go viral because the algorithm has checked lezo zinto. Because once we begin kanje, algorithm understand which you shot this for us, this is for us. But now we shoot kanje, it's like when I go YouTube or something like that, you know. So it's very important to understand the shots, the type of shots that you need, the composition that you want. And sometimes mau shoot so and then ufuna ukuyi-rescale uyenze kanje, you miss a whole lot of, you know, details or whatever that you wanted to show, because now we stretch yonke into semuva iyafihleka, we don't know what's the side. So it's always good if you start from the get-go knowing exactly what's okay. This is the composition that I want. And then in terms of the type of shots, basically there are so many shots in film, but we'll stick to the basic ones that we pretty much use daily. Sometimes we're not even aware. So there's a close-up. A close-up is very important. It's from your shoulder up or from your neck up. Those are used for facial expressions, to show emotions. Ungathi mawushuthi content yakho ushuthi umuntu okhalayo, but now uyale asimboni ebusweni but yakhala. Obviously sizomzwela ubuhlungu, but because asimboni emehlweni ayibi more impactful, you know. So you need to be intentional with your shots. And then there's a medium shot. The medium shot is from waist up. It's more of dialogues. Masibukela ama movie siyazi ukuthi masibala shoot giyakhulunywa, you know. So you need to know those shots. If you are doing a podcast or a vlog, you know this is where you are. You know, don't show us a long shot. Abantu bakhuluma. Izosithena off leyo nto. We'll switch off and then we're not gonna watch your content. And then there's a wide shot. Let's see the next slide. Yeah, wide shot. So a wide shot is normally used to establish the environment. Ukuthi sikuphi. Nakhona ku-podcast, you would get a wide shot. Normally when you start a podcast, we will see last bona wonke umuntu ukuthi okay bayi-2, okay base-dining room bayakhuluma, before we move to a medium shot, before we even move to a close-up. So a wide shot, it is used more oftenly to establish a place or give us a sense of what's going on in mood. If it's going to be wide, this is and then we know it's okay, it's going down. And then that's when we're going to get the medium shots and then the close-up. So wide, you know, it's very important. Show us where you are first, and then let's listen to what you are saying, and then let's see the emotions. As simple as that. Show us where you are, and then we listen to what you're saying, and then we see those emotions in a close-up. So wide, medium, close-up. Wide, medium, close-up. Wide, full body, medium from waist up, close-up, shoulder up, or neck up. And then in terms of camera movements, it's very important to know these camera movements, you might know them, but sometimes you don't know the terms and you don't know when to apply what and why. So there's a whole lot of movements as well, but these three are very important for what we are doing in terms of the content and, you know, short format content that we do, but they apply in filmmaking. So esikhathini esiningi sinokuthi masibukela ama-video maybe bashaye heist, umuntu uthukile uyashika, you know, and yasibambezela sifuna ukubona ukuthi bayishaya imoto emali, you know. That's when you find abantu ba-comment abathi, hey, cameraman, you only had one job. Yeah, icaba leyo line. Yeah, cameraman, you only had one job. And the one job was just to keep your camera steady. That's it. And then if you want to move, that's when these three shots get into place. So there's panning. Panning simply means moving from left to right. So you are in a stationary position, but the camera yakho iyamove from subject A to subject B. Abantu bashutha kanje. Sishutha kanje. And that is wrong. That's not professional. Isikhathini esiningi sishutha kanje. If idlala ibhola, like you're not sure, okay, ngiya goalkeeper, or you must be intentional with your shots. So you must know what, okay, I'm going to pen. You must compose your shots. If you call umuntu ozayo uzongena ayele from A to B, uhamba naye. Ungathi yambamba bese uyabuya yambamba. It shows that you're not prepared or you're not quite sure of that particular shot. Woza naye from B to A or from A to B. So that's a pen shot. As simple as that. You pen from one position to another. A to B. And then we have tilt. Tilting is pretty much the opposite of penning. So you're going to pivot from top to bottom or from bottom to top. So stationary, on a stationary position, you're going to go. You know. Sometimes maybe if you create a suspense, khona umuntu yangena, ufuna ukusitshengisa ukuthi utsotsi or sibona nge-all-star cala yabo. And then siyakhuphuka kancane kancane until you reveal their faces. As simple as that. So pan left to right, tilt up, down, down, up. As simple as that. And then we have a tracking shot. The tracking shot will be you literally moving the camera, making sure that the camera moves. If you want to track from A to B, instead of panning, then sizoya. From A to B. It's an alternative for panning. I can pan from A to B, and I can also track from A to B. The difference is that now you're moving with your phone. As simple as that. If you can master this shot, then you grand. As simple as that. And then in terms of your light, it's very important to make sure that you maximize. If you are going to use natural light, then if the camera is the camera operator, maybe first they share me because the subject there, that means the light in the window, you share a subject there. Now, when I use shoot us from 7 natural light, we're not going to film my sister. We're going to try by any means to get her closer to the window so that we can maximize in terms of that. As simple as that. And then masim shooter battle, we're maximizing the light. And if we are going to use e-light and Jomba is practical, it's always good not to place e-light directly because it becomes harsh and it doesn't look professional as well. You need to try put it at least 40 degrees. If umuntu la, you know, so we move and then we pay up so that we can get that kind of like 3D effect whereby sibona ama-shadows wakhe esayidini eli-one and then i-light isesayidini eli-one. It becomes more cinematic. There's a name for that shot. I just Awufundanga ngaleyo ndlela. Yeah, next slide. Oh, sicedile. That was quick, eh? The sound. Yeah, sengidlile. So sound is very crucial. Sound is as important as the visuals. I love sound. If I see people filming and then ngisoli light ngiyakwata. Inhliziyo yami iba buhlungu noma ngabe akusi production yami. Inhliziyo yami iba buhlungu because I love sound. Sound is very important. I'm able to tell stories with sound only and create that theater of the mind. Ukuthi nawe ufeel ukuthi yo umzwelo ubuhlungu nje just by listening to sound effects and stuff. So I love sound. Sound is very important. So yes, like I was saying, when you're using a microphone, earphone, make sure that you're not far away from the phone. Get closer to the phone so you can maximize. And then if you're using a recorder, we're going to record just now. I'm going to show you how to record professionally, thoroughly with a recorder. When you record with an external recorder, a mic, kunamameter laphaya ahlala kutshengisa ujwayele kwabona ngathi ayamuva kanje sizobona njengamanje. It's good to keep your sound levels between -12 and 6 dB. That's what the human ear can easily hear and accept sound. Anything below that, angizwa kahle, or it becomes too much and then it ends up distorting. So you need to keep your levels very balanced. If they're not balanced, we have a problem. It's not going to be good quality sound. That's where we're going to hear distortion and a whole lot of sounds that we don't want. Lately, there are so many podcasts, and when you watch them, maybe they get the camera work right, but the sound is always an issue. There's so many podcasts out there that you watch, and then you'll be like, I wanted to really watch this, but I can't stand the sound, right? So sound is very important. One of the reasons why kuma podcast is sound yabo thola ukuthi ufila ngathi kuso roomini or kugcwele is because umuntu makakhuluma they're not really closer to the mic. With the podcast is the same as broadcast. So it's pretty much the same as radio. Uke wabone radio inbala emikini. They're always here because they want to maximize. Normally with the radio, bathi wenze kanje, ushaya izola 7. And then Maula, this is enough. The gap in between you and your mouth and the mic should be this. I don't know about how many inches. But yes, you need to understand that. Don't be further away from the mic. When you are further away from the mic, that's when you start picking up the room. Now we feel like there's a reverb. We start hearing people playing soccer. But when you are closer to your mic, your sound becomes crispier. We hear you loud and clear. And then we enjoy your visuals together with sound. Have you seen when you watch movies, you zone into the story. You even forget to go to a movie because everything is quality. But when your production is bad, it takes you away from the story. Now you're concentrating on all the things that you're not supposed to be concentrating. So it will happen with your vlog as well. If you're telling us something important, good vlog yakho, but your sound is not good. Now just concentrate kwezinye izinto. Your sound is not nice. Or sengibona namaphela lapha emuva. You know, ingqondo yami yenza all the excuses so ukuthi ngingasalaleli into ebalekile, the message that you were trying to, you know, rely or portray. So sound is as crucial as the visuals. Yeah, right now let's do a quick practical work. We're gonna use the lights, we're gonna use phones, we're gonna use cameras. We're gonna conduct very quick interviews in terms of what you guys have learned today, right? You guys are going to do the sound, you guys are gonna do the light. So we learn as we go. Whenever we're going to shoot, we're going to post. I don't know, maybe here, because of these two. You see, the meter already tells you we have a problem. It's too much. A human can handle it. So look, we're going to use yeah, it's a norm. So you guys can take care as well. When you listen to it, you will hear what's in the realm can take this in. Because now it's beyond minus. It was yellow is safe. Red danger, red where people. So you can hear that it's a little bit too much now. It's bad, right? Too much. It's too much, right? It's harsh. You don't want it. Who else wants to hear? And you can tell, Kulma soft, Anaras, but because our levels are not set properly, it's our own fault. That's the problem. It's a bit harsh. So you come here, you come and you talk. You're going to be born and what is he was here. So you start adjusting. Now we can see. Sometimes you have we have, right? Once we happy with our sound, now we're going to look at our lighting, right? Space is not even listed to with what we have. Remember, in the one I was talking about eye level. Remember, I was talking about eye level, right? The composition, yeah. So, whether we're shooting a podcast or an interview, a sit down interviews where people are talking, we can't be here. So this applies with even shooting with the phone. Not that because we're using a camera. We can't do this. You know, because this is an inferior shot, that's what they call it. It makes him look small. You want to know the economy as a we might not know about psychology, but that's the effect that it creates. It's an inferior shot. Normally when they make a person small on a movie, most of them are large. And then when they introduce someone who's high in ranking, all of them are large. So you see how much of that large so you go to the right? In a school. Also, we have whatsoever. So it's always good to eye them. So sometimes we make mistakes when we interview people, maybe we take part, and then people interview me. Magashi party, camera ilami, and so we imagine what's in the fire. This is China agenda regulation. Mom, people are talking, but forget what. And then Zuzulu says, right? So high level. I need to feel like even if no man they are, but it's really important for me to keep high level so that when they communicate, it doesn't feel awkward and it doesn't feel imbalanced as well. So it's very important to compose your shots, whether you're using a phone or you're using a pen. Remember, high level is very important. When you're doing a vlog, you can't do a vlog like this. Something is wrong. Sometimes we don't know, but we can tell when we look at your videos. Punctuation down. But we can't really explain it because we don't know. So, those interviews, right? We're going to need another chair. Somebody bring another chair. Jesus. So you guys can come forward and see. So, shine the light right? Should make a difference. You see that? That's also, so these white markings are showing where it is 2 years old. So we have to focus on that. And then we have to just like the engine. Take it down. So we're going to conduct those interviews literally those interviews. Let's take your levels. So normally you take at my levels one, just very nice. And then once you're happy with these levels, the next thing that you do when you're dealing with the sound once you get the silence that you need, that you can control, that's very close. You're going to have the understanding. We don't have control of outside. But this is enough. When you listen in here, you have to take people who shall I choose the pirates or something. So you're going to talk to him. So it's also important to brief your guest. Said, so we are literally going to record. We are going to simply ask him about his experience today workshop. Just that simple. And how do I? So yeah. And then thank him. Right? As simple as that. Keep it brief. Yeah, well. All the sound and so guys, please do observe, as they talk, you go check the sound, just move in silence so you can. Who's next? Let's keep it going quickly. Just one question, just your experience at the workshop. Just that. Elaine, please. Who's asking? So you just ask me a single question. Are you rolling? The sound is rolling. You guys So also, when you're directing or you're doing sound as well, if you feel like I want to bakhulumela phansi, don't be scared to say "Celeleni phansi, ngibezwa," or when you're aeroplane endlulayo, or there's disturbing sounds that we won't like later on. Because production is very expensive. If it's community, it's a cell phone, it's how much must feel a payat audio yave. Since we must calculate everything the money is spending. Yes, it's what I'm saying. So when we get a chance to conduct interviews with a podcast, make sure it is worthwhile. Let's do 2 more. And then who else wants to talk? Who wants to talk? You guys want to talk? So in terms of sound, there's no need for us to we need to make sure because he's the one who's not, she's not, so we don't expect to check levels. I'm not happy with the levels. I was going to say to him, please raise your voice. But because it's your production, you guys are better. But you need to pay attention to that. We're working as a team here, so if you feel like you can project better, then we're up with you so that we can get the best out of you. Last candidate. Last ones. And remember, production is mine. When we get on a set and we're not sure, we're losing lights, we're losing battery, so we need to decide. Who's interviewing? Who's on the sound? Take his levels. Are you sure? Are you happy with the level? Because sometimes we hear you level, short. It's not conduct interviews, right? Because the questionnaire can even try to guide him so that he can answer the question, so that we can know what to know. Imagine you try to continue. I'm going to like tell about umuntu interested in you. It's already right? So I'm guided to okay. To learn German, and then now I think we're tell or ulwazi nge-workshop ngithole ku-Facebook because they're interested in me. You understand?
This thing is a lot of work. It's supposed to be a workshop. These are some of the things that you need to expect. These are some of the things that you need to know. At any time, is card. So maybe you are expecting this for tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow is going to be a different day. And so on. You might watch a movie. Who knows? Okay, okay, like I said when we started, right, I'm also a content creator, plus in a qualification when it comes to radio production and so on. So when he's talking sound, hey, and I'm in sound, and so on. So I saw he was using ama gadgets and so on. So right now, I'm just gonna open up for Q&As about everything that you guys just went through now. Is there anyone who has a question? Okay, you are noted. Yeah, you can start.
Yeah. We do have someone who's going to talk about photography. So yes, we do cater for that. Yeah, uzawuza nje photography quickly so that we are covered in all aspects. Audio, like I said, all the formats, visuals, video. So yeah, we'll get into photography then. Sure. Anything else? Simnandi sesingashuthi ama-movie.
Ngibona ukuthi singayishuthi movie.
Sirili ne?
Movie.
Sirili.
Are you guys even aware what do you call this? No one is asking about this. Ukuthi yini isebenza kanjani? What is this, guys? Nangu unyathi zoom. What's in it? Okay, Joby.
Umshini wokurecord.
We should not record.
Well, it is a Zoom recorder, so it's an audio recording device. So yes, it is a recorder. Yes. Anything else? Simnandi, we can move on. Sure. Pardon? A light, yeah, we did switch on the light. Where were you when we switched on the light? You didn't have. We did. Guys, you saw when the difference that the light made, right? Yes. Where were you? Detention. Yeah, but yeah, it's a good question. It does make a huge difference. It does make a huge difference. Yeah.
But if you were to record like professional podcast, is there anything else you would add onto the setup to make it more?
I think as it is, it's enough. Probably another mic for another guest, but this is enough. You can pretty much shoot a podcast with this because the recorder does take up to four inputs. So we can have one mic here for our host. We can have another mic, 2 here for guest. Number 2, we can have another mic here for a social worker, guest Maseikala. Another one mic here for a family member who's gonna support or whatever. Or maybe it's a husband and a wife bayano. So if we can sometimes we see production is a matraka money and then you become intimidated. You can shoot using portable devices and get the highest broadcast quality. As simple as that. That's a very good question as well.
One more question. So I can see you. So now when I'm doing it, so that's how we do it. I take that sound, put it on my editing timeline, and then if no one mistakes someone
If no mistake, yeah.
So on the top that sound, and then like now I'm calling you, cut it also in the switch up to
If kunjalo mpijama umsebenzi uphelile. Spawn is penny. No, I'm just kidding. That's me. That's how I love sound. So if I'm a voice I was walling zokubuza ukuthi sifike kanjani lapho. Bowukuphi ngoba bofaka ama headset bowuzwa yonke into. So you are fired, my friend. From the camera directly. So this one has got an advantage because you are able to control. So there'll be a sound recordist specifically dealing with sound and making sure that the levels are not abrupt. They are constant. But it makes life easier when you know how to operate it. Yes. Yes. That's a good question as well because sometimes we get audio directly from the camera, right? Yes. But if you want the highest quality sound, record sound separate. Yeah.
Learn something new today.
That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Yeah. Yes. So when you get to post, uthatha le sound. Angithi camera ine sound nyana yayo. That's not best on its own. Uyayithatha and then ukhuluma ne-software ukuthi please sync, and then it's gonna sync. Lately there are softwares whereby you throw in everything that you just recorded, ilanga malishona, ulahlela laphaya, then the software iyaku-arrangela, ithatha i-sound laphaya, ihlanganise nale video, and then your work is just to start editing. So ikuhlanganisele the sound that was recorded separately with the visuals. I say recording. Oh, Antabu. Yes, that's why we told the DJ and said it's a song. Oh, she pays in real time. So you can be a DJ there as well. Control the level. Sometimes you don't have the luxury of telling Ramaphosa, yeah, kumela pezu. You just have to do it manually. Okay, ukulumela pants, timkupu. Makabuya ngathi ukulumela phezulu uyibuyise, because that's your work. You're operating the sound, you know, and you don't have the luxury of telling people ukuthi okay yehlisa ke manje. Abanye abantu bazokwata ukuthi ngikhulumela phezulu mase ngikhulumela phezulu. Ngifunani ke? Interviews over. We've seen people walking out of interviews because of such things. You know, sometimes you walk on set, when you walk on set, documentary or whatever, podcast. We've been shooting podcast, nabo legendary actors within the industry. Abosilo makhe kanqube bamile basilindile. Ama battery stuck in. You know how embarrassing that is. Sorry, Putin. I know it's fine, do your work. Obviously they're gonna polite, but they know that it's Tursa Kwenosas. So that's why when you go back to that, already small things like batteries would, you know. So make sure that you check your equipment. I mean, small thing like this. Masses figiling, busy ngamasolo tape, clumsy. It affects the whole quality of the production. Masik velama tape, a TV. The producer is gonna say we can't go ahead with this. We must go back and record, and someone must account because the patali transport, ukudla sidlile makota, kwaba mnanzi hamba saphuza ama energy drink endleleni. Masifika le makumele sisebenze sikhohlwa izinto. So you need to prepare yourself. We good?
I hope. Oh.
Between minus 6 decibels and minus 12. Or not decibels. Yes, that's how we calculate sound. Volume.
Just to add on that, if maybe you are using a software like Adobe or Audition, corner down DP. I'm sorry. Yeah. It should be there.
I'm not sure of that.
So remember, with Manje, we have a homework, Kangishu. Yeah, that 1 minute video. So what I'm expecting, or what we are expecting, whatever that you've learned, you might take it like remember when you shoot a Spanish camera, lighting was there. There was also a mic. So whatever that you're going to be recording as well, for later or for tomorrow, because you're going to submit it today, Angishu, or tomorrow in the morning before you get here. Then Tina Sokonuwa wona gahlama video wenu. Then we shall take it from there. Angishu. Okay. Are we ready to talk business? On your social media platforms, then you're gonna tag O21 and you're gonna tag at Utter Life Joburg. Then you're gonna use the hashtags. Yeah, you're gonna use the hashtags lawa enginikeze wona earlier on. Do you still remember them? Give me two. Tumaka, what's the last one? Content creator. Yeah, please don't forget to use those hashtags. Ne? So are we ready to talk business? Because ngiyabona abantu abaningi they are busy, bashuta content just for ama likes, just for views, ukuthi mina ku social media ngiyatrend. But right now we are gonna get into a business ukuthi manje imali uyenza kanjani nge-content creation, ne? Ngimangele ne podcast, but you guys angakatholi ngisho ne 20 USD. Kwenzakalani? It's hard.
For people to subscribe and actually watch.
Yeah. Okay. So I think but mostly it's not about that. Mina for me, it's not about that. It's about iskati esbuying spending watching that content. Yeah, understand. Even now, my social media, I don't care about ukuthi manje. I've got 5 likes. I just go straight to ama analytics wami. I check the time spent. Then that's gonna tell me what actually bayithanda le content. Laba banga like, oh wow. Yeah, understand. That's how it works. So we are gonna be having our next guest by the name of Ukatleho. So Ukatleho uzokhuluma ngebusiness, right? So he's a financial manager at Tumaka. As we all know, with Timanji, this wouldn't be possible without Tumaka, Arts Alive, as well as the Alex FM. I'm sure they are partners to this event, to this workshop, by the way. So he's gonna be telling us about the business side of things, by content creation. How do you make money out of the content that you guys make? Like I said earlier on, I'm glad with the content ingenzela imali, even though abantu abaningi bangazi ukuthi ngenza kanjani ngithola, because it took time for me to even get there. But having abantu abafana nabo boKatleho, it makes things much easier, because now you can ask okay mfethu, now what's the next step from here? Then bazoguide ukuthi okay sharp, this is what you have to do. So he's been working in music as well as kuma films for over 10 years, right? Manager and artist ngithola. So if ever uthi ngai advice nje ngendaba zeimali, he's the right person. Ngicela nimshayeleni izandla.
Sanibonani guys. How's everyone feeling? It's overwhelming, ne? I feel like it's just a lot. Okay, so my job is very easy, ne? It's just to show you the importance of what you guys are doing. So one thing you must understand, Guti, content creation for me is the next biggest industry. So when you think about it, we're in a digital age. So it's all about content creation. We're moving away from the normal ways of doing things. Now we're moving into the new ways of doing things. So if you think about it now, you guys are sitting in a space where you guys are the most important people in the economy. So that's how I want you guys to think about it. Manhleli lapho nhleli khona, you must just think ukuthi lento engiyenzayo ngangenzela imali. You know what I mean? You can literally take your hobby, and your hobby can become something that pays you. It can be a supplementary to your salary, or it can be a new industry that you come up with. There's individuals who've done this very well. There's like Abo well in terms of their business, and they made money. Then there's Tina, who we do content, we provide content, but because we don't understand the fundamentals of business, we're not making money. Okay? So the first thing I wanted to show you is that, I don't know if you guys know about DSTV Content Creation Awards. Yes. Those are things that you should follow, because, I mean, ideally, your favorites, they get nominated for these awards. So you get to know, Gucci, what is coming up. The thing about content creation as well is that it's so vast. I find not before, you know, like when we used to watch TV, we just used to have a small section of isn't it that we could watch, like a drama or whatever. Content creation, you can make money from literally vlogging, you know, talking about your life. And those kind of things, you kind of learn when you're watching the content awards. I mean, for instance, one of my favorites, Tumi the narrator, where she was just telling me Umkosi, one next door, you know, and we started following her and just listening to Umkosi, and then she ended up actually making a little bit of a living for herself in terms of business, okay? And yeah, like there's a whole host of them. Next page. Okay, so what I'm gonna be covering. So me, I'm just here to talk about business. Ne? I don't know how to hold a camera. I do not know how to do sound. Only thing I know now is that I want to make a business. I want to make this thing make money for me. Because at the end of the day, if you're not making money, it's just a hobby. Okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is career opportunities, right? So content creation, guys, you know when you're dealing with content, I can tell you because I also work at a bank. Ne? Content is everything. Information is everything. If I know what you like, I can sell you items. And that's what everybody wants to know, right? So from a company point of view, every single company, whether it's Safe Hub, whether it's Tumaka, whether it's anyway, they need people to manage social media content, right? I think there's a lady from LXFM. I think she works there. She creates content for them, and that's what's basically a career opportunity that's available. So being in this workshop, you learn about content creation, you become good at it, and you can end up getting a job at a professional company. Number two is you can start your own content creation company, right? So like I said, McG, Podcast and Chill, they've become a network because now they've got a lot of other podcasts that they have and they make money out of it, right? So that's another avenue that you guys can think of. And there's many people who've done that. There's Sizwe Mpofu Welsh, who also does a podcast experience. So he's got a podcast where he's now starting to branch out and create more. But it doesn't only stop on my podcast, it's everything. It can go into film, it can go into music, it can go into anything, right? So literally where you guys are sitting right now is that you guys are entrepreneurs. And you need to start thinking like an entrepreneur. Because if you really want to know who the most successful millionaires are, entrepreneurs. So you guys are sitting here with an ability to become one of the most successful and rich people because you have this ability to create content. And then we're going to talk about brand alignment, right? So for me, it goes hand in hand with the second one. Okay? Then we're going to cover monetization, which is ideally the most important thing you guys want to know about, right? It's how do you monetize? And monetization for me, before I talk about monetization, to be honest with you, I talk about planning. Because you need to plan your content. Everything they told you today is very important because you need to plan your content so that you can be able to monetize. But you need to understand how to monetize and then you start planning accordingly. You know what I mean? So it's a chicken and the egg. If you understand monetization, how much money you can make, ultimately you start planning better. If you take yourself seriously, you can make a little bit of money. You understand? I know you guys have a podcast, right? If you continuously do that podcast will end up paying for and helping you out. I know Kabza, we're not going to talk about how much he makes, but Kabza does make a living out of making content on social media. And that's one of the things that he does. Okay? And then I'm going to talk about the setup. So it's all good and well that I'm telling you all of these things. This is like general knowledge. The most important thing is that, okay, Katlego, how do we go to the next step? And then I just want to take you guys to the next steps of how to start your content creation business, how to take yourself seriously, how to become a brand, how to become a person that can be able to live out of this. Any questions? Okay, so I prefer my sessions to be interactive. So if you have questions, you can stop me and ask. Okay, no questions. Okay, next slide. So when I touch the wall, it's the next slide. Yes.
I know from our channel and details, but I've been wondering for the covering social media management, like what do they mean?
So for instance, let me give you an example. Nedbank, ne? So there's campaigns that they do at Nedbank, and they need someone who's gonna be on social media at Nedbank and handling that account. So it's whether it's taking content, it's whether it's looking after the content, managing the content, planning the content. That's what a social media manager does in a corporate environment. So it's exactly what we're doing now, but now you're doing it for a corporate, which is very different because our corporate will have its restrictions. It will say, we don't want to talk about this, we don't want to shoot this, we don't want this in our videos. You'll have to create content in the limitations of what the corporate wants. Happiness. So make G. So podcast and chill. Yeah, so podcast and chill, if you think about it, it's almost like the new SABC, right? It's the new DSTV because he's got podcast and chill, and then he's got all these other guys that are doing podcasts for him, right? Another example I'd like to give is Tumark, right? We do exactly that. We live on content, so we make content, and that makes money for us. Okay, cool. So I don't know if you guys know this guy, ne? His name is Jovi Slash. What we did in 2020, when COVID hit, I want to give you guys a practical example of what really happened. Okay? And why we're calling this smartphone content creation. I want to give you guys context. So when we started Go 2020, in 2020, we wanted to make content, right? Because he's a musician, he makes music, but for me, music was something that I felt like was kind of difficult to make money. Because when Spotify and everything started, I realized our monies are getting a bit smaller, but the play was getting a little bit bigger. So I was like, no, let's start moving and start thinking content. Because my background is that in 2015, I started a company called Where's the Beef? And in that company, right, what we were doing is that we were dealing with content. We were managing content, right? So what we did is that it was a height of, I don't remember if you guys remember, AKA and Casper had beef. We were smack bang in the middle of that, and we were capturing that interaction. We went to the hip hop awards where when AKA smacked Casper, we were there with our cameras, and we were making money from that content. Then we started making more money from that content because making content is a business. It's like information. It's like, information is money. You must think about it like that. Information is money. Content is money. Everything that you guys are shooting is money. Everything that you guys took today, if I could, I would pay and all that content edited for myself and have it, because it's an ability to money. It's just when you have the skill to make it better, that's when you start making money for yourself. Okay? So what happened with Jovi is that I said, okay, I spoke to him and I'm like, we need to now pivot our company away from music, right? And start focusing a little bit more into film, into creating content. So the best investment I've ever done was we got him a cell phone. The first thing we did, we're like, okay, Jovi, here's a cell phone, it shoot a 4K, let's see what we can do with this. So everyone take out their cell phones. Well, if you have. I'm assuming you have. Yes. This, in 2020, made us plus minus 500,000. Just the phone alone, Just having the phone with nothing else was able to convert that into some sort of revenue, okay? So the first thing we did is that I said to him, let's learn how to shoot a phone. Because ideally, everyone in 2020, you must think about it, 2020, when music videos were being shot, everybody was using cameras. I mean, everyone was running to Carl White, everyone was shooting, Studio Space, all those guys that are shooting music videos, they were coming with big budgets and big cameras. We didn't have that budget, right? But we knew we had a product people were interested in. So what we did is that can we go back to the last one? We took our cell phones, and the first thing we did was that we shot a music video. So it's one of the music videos, we'll play it later, but we shot it literally ka phone. The second thing we did is that we shot the next music video. And if you can see, all these music videos ended up making it on TV. At that time in 2020, nobody could understand. You can literally take a phone, right? And then instead of holding it like this, hold it like this, shoot a music video and you can play on TV. And then you get gigs. So that's what we did. It was a test. It was an icebreaker. And then the next thing we did Alex Township. I don't know if you guys know the song of Alex Township. If you guys are from Alex, you should know it. Ended up being identified Gogomora, and so forth and so forth. So what ended up happening is that we started being known as the guys that shoot a cell phone. I remember there was one incident where a guy came to us and said, okay, guys, I like your music videos. Can I have a music video from you guys? And he's like, gents, nizo shoot on your phone. We're like, yeah, and it became one of the best music videos that we shot. Okay? Can go to the next slide. Okay, so I've covered the different elements of the careers that you guys can have on social media. Ne? Do not underestimate your phone. This thing is the next best thing. This thing has replaced cameras, it has replaced sound equipment, it has replaced a watch, it has replaced a lot of things if you know how to use it. If you spend time using it, you can literally start you can have your own career in terms of social media, where you can branch off into a Coca-Cola. I have a friend who works at MTN, and her job is literally social media content for MTN, right? And these things, obviously, you can go to school and learn, but a lot of the times they just literally approach you because they can see that you are good at making content. I have another friend who does content for an optometrist company, right? They literally approached her because the content she was making was aligned to her, and then they said, "Scela usenzele content." So you can have a career and work normally and have a business. I spoke about entrepreneurship. for me, this is the most important, right? I always encourage and I advocate entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is easy because, first of all, you own your content and you own your time. So if you decide to make a podcast and it becomes successful, you can do whatever you can, whatever you like with it. Because as soon as you own an audience, you can sell those guys anything you want. Okay? So if you are like McG right now, you can literally sell Chilla's Punch and put it there every single podcast and just talk. And what's the first thing I see? Chilla's Punch, Chilla's Punch. And when I'm thirsty, what do I want? Chilla's Punch. Okay? And then the last one is brand alignment, right? This is when you then become very intentional about who you are. If you're a person who likes travel, you become very intentional about travel. You vlog travel, you do everything about travel. You end up aligning yourself with brands. Okay? Guys, I just want to take you through the stats. It's fine. I want to take you through the stats. Ne? So if you think about it, ne, in South Africa right now, you have about 28 million people that are on social media. Literally, you have 28 million people on social media. Okay? We'll go through the numbers in terms of how much you can make from these people. But 28,000 people are on social medias. They spend about 3 hours on their phones. Probably even a little bit more. Because you think about it, if you go taxi, what's the first thing you do? You're going to open up your phone. Right? To get home, you're tired, you're going to open up your phone. Before you sleep, you're going to open up your phone. Some people, when they wake up, they phone. So they spend an average 3 hours on their phones. Okay? And then, yeah, I can't really read that. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then people that use internet is about 68. You can go to the next one. So I just broke down the maths. I said let's look at the maths and let's think about it, right? If we have about 50 people in South Africa that are on the internet, but remember the internet is also working. Right? 28 people on social media in South Africa alone. And my man, you don't only get paid for what's in South Africa, you get paid for everyone else, right? These are all the people that are, this is all content. Everything in life is content. Right now, what you can do now is switch on your phone, go live, and sit in a workshop. And that's content, right? You can watch people play soccer, record them, that's content, right? You can literally stand on the side of the road, watching people go up and down, and that's content. There's 28 million people on social media right now just waiting to be entertained, okay? So think about it in terms of business. That's 28 million possible customers that you have, that you can sell content to, okay? And then you also have to look at which one ranks the highest in your country, right? In South Africa, let's ignore WhatsApp. I mean, you don't go to WhatsApp for content unless you're looking at status updates, right? I mean, I won't lie, my friends they're not the most entertaining people, so their status updates are not nice. So the next thing is obviously get the Facebook, get the Instagram, get the TikTok, and the YouTubes, right? That's how it goes. And then, like everyone explained, every single content has the way that you should shoot it. And get Facebook. I mean, Facebook sometimes. I think when we started, we used to shoot Facebook like this, right? But Facebook has become more of vertical, right? Instagram, same thing, right? Someone mentioned photography. You're interested in photography. Instagram is ideally what was made for photography, to share pictures. TikTok, YouTube, right? So you need to know, okay, where am I going to go? Am I going to go to a TikTok? Am I going to go to a... That's your primary channel to say, this is where I want to make money. It doesn't mean, okay, when you're on YouTube, you can't go to TikTok and vice versa. You can do whatever you want. But you must know, okay, where is my money coming from? Where your money comes from is where you need to be diligent. Everything else is marketing for your money. Okay? And then, 3 hours average spent on people on social media. Okay, next. So now let's talk money. Okay? I'm sorry. Instagram and TikTok don't necessarily pay you for your views, right? I know you guys are going to come at me. For your views. For views, right? They'll pay you for brand alignment. They'll pay you for everything else. But for your views, not necessarily. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do TikTok. There's a purpose for TikTok, right? But if you want to make money, the first thing you must think of is that, okay, Katlego, I want to make money. Where am I going to go? I would say, Yamana, your Facebook and your YouTube. That's where you can think about, okay, I want to make money from views. Me, I know myself. I'm not really aligned with brands. I'm not a guy that a brand will. I'd love for BMW to come to me and say, hey, let's make a partnership, but I don't see a reason why. The second best thing I can think of is like, you know what, I can have a podcast, I can have a vlog account, and then I can sell, I can get views from that, right? So there's something called earnings per view, right, which is based on RPM. So RPM is revenue per milli. It's milli. Milli just stands for per thousand. It's not a million, but it's thousands, right? So what it says is that you'll get 8 rand, right? You get 8 rand per 1,000 views you get. So for every 1,000 views you get, you can get about 8 rand, right? Depends on the content you make. So now I've converted that into a million. That's about 8.5 thousand rand that you can make if you make 1 million views. But there's also requirements that you need to meet. Okay. YouTube. I mean, there's also Facebook that also gives you something like that. It's about 2,000 rand per 1,000 views that you have. But like I said, guys, there is 1,900 rand for 1 million views. For 1 million views. The coolest MC knows about 1 million views. Jovi knows about 1 million views. I've never gotten anything close to 1 million views. And like 10 is the most I've ever gotten. Okay. But you can look at things like your Instagram and your TikTok. They're more aligned with partnerships and brand collaborations. So if you become very popular enough, right? I can come as a Twenty1. Hey boy, whatever you're doing is amazing. Please make content for me for Twenty1 or whatever. Nokia. So they can come to you and then I can ask you to make specific content for that. Me personally, these ones, right? It's a nice to have. It's a supplementary, but it's very difficult, right? These other ones, they're also very difficult because they need consistency and they need planning, and you need to be direct with what you want. You can't do, I like soccer today. 2 weeks down the line, you're like, 2 weeks down the line, you need to be consistent. And you need to then say, okay, are you going to make a channel about soccer? And you must stick with that until it is a hip-hop. Look, there's a number of ways of looking at soccer. You can look at soccer as the actual game. You can look at soccer as the interviews. You can even look at soccer as their partners. So how are the people who are dating soccer players living? There's a number of ways of looking at content. But you must just make sure that when you find that thing, you stick with it. Okay? And then what you then do is that you go to TikTok and Instagram, and then you take a little bit of sound bites from there. 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever. You put it together, and then that will hopefully drive traffic into your YouTube where you know that you're making your most amount of money. Are we together? Okay. Are you guys tired? No. Next. Okay. So monetization, let's start with YouTube, right? So the ways to make money from YouTube is that you can make there's channel memberships, right? There's merchandising. This is the one that I like the most, to be honest with you. Merchandising, right? It's something that is very underplayed in the market. It's merchandising. Every single person here can become a brand and start a brand and develop a brand. Okay? Even if you have a podcast, and there's one advice I'll ever give you. When we started, I think because we had a brand, but we didn't believe that our brand was enough to sell merchandise, right? And the reality of it is that if you have more than 10 people viewing, you have the right to have merchandise, right? Even if it's one person who's gonna buy your merchandise, you must go for it. Because to make a lot of money in this game is to sell merchandise. You know what I mean? If you're able to come up with some sort of merchandising for whatever content that you're making, you at least know that you can be able to build steady revenue coming in. Okay? Then there's partnerships with the brand, and then there's YouTube ads. So with YouTube, remember, some of us don't have premium, right? So when you're watching YouTube, the ads play, right? And those ads they're very specific. I've boosted a video once where I said, I want my video to play, and then I had to choose where do I want my video to play. Because I get to now I have to choose who's watching what, and I want my music video to appear when that person is watching that video. So for instance, McG, I know that my people are McG's people, so if I play a music video, if I want my music video to play, whenever McG idlala, if there's an ad, put me in there, right? McG then would get a share of that, because now he's created content that people want to attach themselves with. Okay? So what that becomes, then it becomes a revenue split with in terms of the ads. YouTube would then say, I'll keep 45% of that, which sounds like it's a lot, but it's not really, right? YouTube would keep 45, you take 55, right? And like I said, guys, it's per 1,000 views, right? So it's per 1,000 views. Then how to qualify for that? You need to have, at least in your page, 1,000 subscribers. So you have to have at least about 1,000 subscribers. 4,000 hours, 4,000 hours in the last 12 months. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably a little bit more, but I think when I checked this, it was still 4,000 for 12 months, right? So in a 12-month span, at least, there must have been 4,000 worth of minutes of watching, right? So if you think about it, if you're making a show, if you're making a podcast, which is like an hour, that already covers a lot of these 1,000 hours. But remember, Tina, some of us were making short skits, we were making short films. So we needed a lot more. Okay. And then for shorts, it's different because it's 10,000 views for the shorts that are being watched. Okay, if you go to the next one. Yes.
I just want to know how much do you have to earn to
How much do you have to make to withdraw?
yeah, like either maybe there should be a certain amount
Yeah.
which of maybe viewers before you can, because you can't make your at 10 views like 1,000 views first. 10,000
Yeah.
is like 50 something around.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure. What's the minimum? I don't know what the minimum is. Yeah. Okay, so when we look at Facebook, Facebook works in a similar manner, right? So Facebook, it's 45%, right? Sorry guys, I said YouTube here, but I meant to say Facebook. Facebook will take 45, but the pay obviously is a little bit less, right? It needs 10,000 subscribers into a professional page. So, I know you guys have your own Facebook page, and correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have your own private pages, and then there's also a professional page that you can create. I always say, rather focus more attention on your professional page, right? Then at least it will give you the analysts, the stats, and everything that you need. If you get 10,000 subscribers on that, and then you post continuously, then you qualify for the numbers that we saw before. Okay? Cool. If you go to the next one. So TikTok and Instagram is more about brand alignment. Okay? So I don't know if you guys know Mihlali. Yamaz. Yeah. Okay. So Mihlali told herself that I am going to be an individual that focuses on beauty. Young child. And then she became aligned with that. You guys saw MJ today? Sure, she's got a deal with, I think it was Maybelline. Yes. So she's got a deal with Maybelline because she aligned herself with beauty, grooming, and all that stuff, right? So when you're going onto your Instagram or you're going onto your TikTok, like I said today, you need to. So in the beginning, Jovi gave you a breakdown. It's either you're going to be dealing with entertainment, it's either you're going to be dealing with education, it's either you're going to be dealing with what is it? It was information, right? So make G obviously key information, right? So what? It's information. What's the other one? Education. You mentioned someone. No, it's education. Someone said something about education. How? It was yeah. Then the other one is entertainment. So maybe like let's say beauty is entertainment, right? How to put on your makeup and everything like that. She told herself that I do not care if Real Madrid wins the cup or whatever. I don't care if America wins the World Cup. I am going to focus on beauty. I'm going to make sure that I talk everything to do with beauty. So what that happens then is that if you go to the previous one, if that's what happens is that a brand then sees you and says, this is a person who's constantly about beauty. The algorithm picks you up. It brings everybody who's about beauty. and then and you're able to then monetize on that fact that you are a specialist on beauty. There's a lady called the Financial Bunny. I don't know if you guys. Nicolette. Nicolette told herself, "Okay, come hello high waters, I am going to talk money." Right? She sat and she said, and this is the things that Jovi explained in the beginning, right? Those are the things that he explained in the beginning. Number two is to say, okay, she sat down and she said, where can I make money? Now, Nicolette could have simply ran and said, okay, let me go to Instagram, right? But she felt like Instagram does not give me the hours that I need. I need to be a person who sits in front of a camera and explains to you what mortgage is, what a home loan is. And then she chose YouTube. So she got herself and she said, I am going to be education, right? I am going to choose a medium that I know that is able to bring me some sort of money with his YouTube, and I'm going to focus on that. Michele, on the other hand, was like, I am not a YouTuber. I'm not a person who's gonna sit and talk. I don't like talking. But I know that I can do beauty very well. I can put on my makeup, I can teach people how to put on makeup, and then she found herself with Instagram. And both equally are making amazing amounts of money because they were dedicated and they carry themselves as brands. Okay, if you go to the next one. So why am I telling you all of this, right? It's so that you can understand, Jorge, where you are sitting right now, you are a company. You are not a content creator, fela, or company. And if you carry yourself like a company, you will be able to make a living for yourself. Okay? Either you go to work for a company, either you can go work for MTN or whatever, which is great and fantastic, right? But this for me is, This for me is like the best way you can actually build a sustainable future for yourself for content creation. So as soon as it goes back. No, it's fine. So the setup, what I'm saying about the setup is that the first thing you need to do is open up a company. Go to CIPC. Go register a company. Open up a company and tell yourself, okay, today is the last day. I'm going to take this content creating stuff as a hobby or as a joke. I'm going to be legit. I'm going to open up a company. Open up that company. Do not worry too much about the words. Because people say, I don't know what I'm going to call my company. Call it Buckethead. But open up a company, number one. Okay? Number two, guys, you know social media, content makers are in trouble right now because of SARS. Register with SARS. Because there is no ways. And one other thing, let me tell you about SARS. What I love and I hate about SARS. If you are not making money, SARS won't say anything. When you start making money, SARS will be on your case. People are making a lot of money out of social media, so SARS is on their case. So you need to make sure that you register with SARS. And guys, remember, nowadays, banks have made things easy. You can literally go to a bank, any bank, and open up a bank account and tell them that it's for a business, and they will do the business registration and everything for you. So it doesn't take a lot. Right? But if you invest in yourself, trust you me, it will pay you in return. Okay, so you open up a company, apply for BEE. Fortunately, everyone in this room does qualify for BEE, so make sure that you register and you get your BEE certificate. As soon as you have that, you are now in what I call, step 3, but number 2, step 2. You now have a company, you now have your social media stuff organized, right? Then you start posting continuously. So wake up like you are going to work and plan your life like you are going to work. You know the problem with us content creators, and I say us, but I'm not a content creator, but I'm trying to sympathize with you guys. The problem with us content creators is that we think it's a nice to have, it's a hobby. You know the one thing I used to tell Jovi is that the difference between Jovi and the next artist is that Jovi took himself serious as an artist. He saw himself as a business, as a person. Whereas most artists will think they are artists. You wake up at 12 o'clock, you'll sleep at whenever time. It doesn't work like that. You have to manage yourself like a business. Okay? So you have to say, I'm going to plan my content. Get those shooters, soccer players, or their wives. I am going to organize. I'm going to make sure in a week, get all about 2 by 3. I'm going to make sure that I'm constantly out there getting the content that I need, planning it, making sure that I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm getting myself into. If you change in the future, it doesn't matter. But as long as whatever you have now, you stay consistent with it and you go with it. Okay? Guys, I can't stress this enough. You have to invest on equipment. One of the reasons why in this workshop we have these awards, these prizes, is to show you how much it can make a difference in your content creation experience. When we started, we only shot ka phone, and I can tell you now. I wish I can show you some of the stuff. It was this dark, like you couldn't see us because we relied too much on the sun. The clouds come and you can't even see my face or see Jovi's face. We'll have to wait for the sun to go. So something that could have taken us an hour to shoot, we used to shoot for 4 hours because we relied too much on the sun and everything. Honale ring light. That's a portable ring light. You invest, you buy yourself a portable ring light. You can go anywhere and everywhere. When there's no light, you put on that ring light, you shoot it, bah. That immediately takes whatever you shot ka phone to the next level. That's investing in yourself. That's investing in your business. Mike, like Jovi will tell you, the sound, if your sound is bad, nobody will listen to it. Trust you me. Right? No one will take you serious. There's wireless mics that are available. You invest in those kind of things. It will take your craft to the next level. After that, when your stuff now starts looking like as in, this thing is making sense, be consistent. If umutwa Wednesday, ibaskim sam, Wednesday wa drop. Without fail, drop. Be consistent with it. Engage with your content, with your people. You know, I mean, some people, I don't know what's happening, but some people will just post and say the weirdest things. It's fine. I comment, you know. And then he must, I'll pit the harp, it's fine. Because what that happens is that it's engagement. You know what I mean? Me, guys, if I'm looking for people to work on the brand, I don't read that comments too much. Kiri, yo, Sheba Mutona's got 5,000 views. Okay, maybe 5,000 in 5,000 comments. I don't know, half those comments were, you know, swear words and everything. But I just see engagement, right? And the algorithm also sees that. So make sure that you are consistent with your craft. Then you start having a business. Then you have something that you can say, okay, can I live business? Mama, can I live business? Then, guys, there's money for jam. You know, everywhere I go, guys, I tell people there's money for jam in government. You know what I mean? Yes, we know government, whatever. But government, there are things that are available for you that you can get. But government only wants one thing. Get your paperwork right. So while you're doing your paperwork and you're fixing up yourself, start looking at these applications, right? There's GFC, Gauteng Film Commission. It gives you 15,000 Rand for equipment. So what me and Jovi did, these are the steps that we took, Jovi, by the way. So now I'm not talking about things that we didn't do. We started ka phone. While we were shooting ka phone, we were busy, waiting for the sun to go down. I was typing, saying to GFC, we need 15,000 Rand so that we'll be able to buy a camera and lights. They'll give you that funding. But they have to see your paperwork is right and then that you are actually trying to do this thing. Okay? After that, guys, there's NYDA. Right? NYDA gives 50,000 Rand for equipment. So now you're able to buy yourself the Zoom recorder. You're able to buy yourself even bigger equipment. Do you know what I'm saying? Because your paperwork is right. Then what they also do is that they also help you with business, your business plan. So we are called NYDA or hey guys, you know what? This is my business, one page. They'll convert it into a 200-page document that explains what your market is and everything that you need. Applying at things like NAVF, which is the National Film and Video Foundation. Those guys can now start sponsoring you up to 100,000 and above to shoot whatever that you want to shoot. They love podcasts. Podcasts are the new thing for them. So as soon as you every podcast, Babana podcast, how much do you need? 100,000. But they can only give you money when you've invested in your craft. And then after that, I mean, in a space of 2 years, you will have a company that will feed you for the foreseeable future. Okay? So I hope that wasn't too fast for you guys. Is there any questions? Yes. Stay. Kla. Bank account. Aye. Aye. Yeah. No. Let's correct that. Let me rewind. No. No. They give you cash. They want invoice. Or sometimes what they do is that they'll say, no, go to the shop. Tell them that I'm going to buy it for you. Let them give it to you. Then when you collect the stuff and then they pay. Right? Now, think about it, ne? Bana 15,000 Inyani blind. If you think about it, 15,000 is compared to what McG is making, compared to what Michal is making, compared to what Sizwe, La Sizwe is making. That is peanuts. Because right now, the next best content producer could be sitting in this room. Because you have content that no one else has. No one lives your life. Think about it. No one lives your life. No one knows what you're going through. No one knows how no one knows that. You know what I mean? And if you can invest, and I want to emphasize on this, and I apologize. If you can invest in yourself as a content producer and see yourself as a business, and that's one thing I learned in music. Every single artist thought of themselves as a business, made it. Lil Wayne, when we spoke to his bodyguard, he's like, that guy makes $1 million a week. That is a company. Oh, that was back then, not now. That was back then, when I still had hair. That guy made $1 million a week. They treated him like a business. You know, every person who makes a lot of money, Rihanna, anybody who makes a lot of money is treated like a business. Now, the game has changed. You don't have to be the best dancer. You don't have to be the best dancer. You just have to be a person who says, I believe in myself, I'm going to treat myself as a business, and I'm going to do this thing, Nkareki business. So what Jovi did is that he took a cell phone and said, I'm going to be a filmmaker. Now, tomorrow what's going to happen tomorrow is that we're going to show one of the films that we made. It was the first film that we made, and we worked with Kabelo, by the way. The first film that we made came from when we first got our equipment. First try. We didn't even know how to switch on some of the stuff, and we're like, I'm shooting a movie. And then we shot a movie with Kabelo. And it's won multiple awards for us. So in 2 years, you can literally build and have a business for yourself that can maybe sustain you for the rest of your life. Any questions? Okay.
I want to understand the funding part. Can you apply for all of them?
Times 2. You can apply for NFVA, for GSC, right? 15,000 rand for startup equipment. Then they do about 200,000 for film, for normal. So even a little story about kids that are playing soccer here. Maybe you guys can think of a story about goal scorer or whatever. They'll give you 100,000 rand to go shoot that movie, right? That is cash. That one becomes cash where you pay actors and everyone. NYTA, 50,000 rand fella to set you up. After 2 years, 3 years, Angare Ushap, they give you 200,000. And you don't have to pay it back. Guys, that's the thing. You don't have to pay it back, but you have to get your paperwork in order. Yabona, send us your company document, and you're not. No. Tax, also, tax clearance. No, forget it. So you have to get your paperwork in order, and you can apply for this annually. Annually, when you uthola this grant. But my guy, this is nothing compared to how much you can make when you shoot a movie that plays. You must ask Mary Jane next tomorrow. She's got a movie that played in LA, a short film, 5 minutes that played in LA, and you can get paid out of that. There's money to be made in this industry if you take yourself serious. If only you take yourself serious and you tell yourself, I'm a company, and you must look at a simple thing. Shabas Paza, ka 8 uabula urekisa makwenya. You must become that person. Ka 8 ke atsoga, I need to work, and I need to work like a company. Sorry, last question. I know Kijilena.
We sharpie a little bit.
Can you One more question? Yeah?
Just note for NYDA, they did change their policy, so before you apply, you have to go for training, business management training for a week if you don't have a degree in business operations or business management. So it's just now a policy or process now.
So they've always had it, right? Yeah, he went through it. They've always had it. So what it basically means is that it's like a workshop for a week where they take you to business training so that when you do get the money our age, you do the right thing. It's a simple thing. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Okay, I'm done. Thanks.
I must really say thank you so much, Katlehone, because now abantu abaningi they don't even understand how to. I think also we need to add ukuthi abantu they need to register to CIPC. Do you get it? That's where they should start so that into zabo zibaye great. Njami ayithanda imali ne? Before cash.
Are you registered with CIPC?
But I'll do it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
I believe you.
Bazokufakela yona bathi la the equipment bangagayi yona cash.
Sorry guys, the last thing I forgot is that you must make sure that you also have a bank account. Have a bank account. Separate your bank account from your personal account. So, singathi must be a bank account, sunlight. We must see what's business and we must see what's personal. Okay. Thanks.
You're right, Anisha. Okay, ngiyabona ngathi nikhathelenyana. We're just gonna take a short break, ne? For 10 minutes. Then after, I know ukuthi abanye bebafuna ukwazi ngephotography, nezinye nje zezinto ze-camera work, ne? So there is someone who's going to be joining us shortly after the break, ne? Ngiyabona ngathi senilelenyana. Nisesisharp mara? Nisharp? Nifuna okunye ukudla? Nifuna yini? Nifuna yini? Dessert? Okay, I think the last session. Yeah. Okay, sharp. So now we're gonna go to our last session of the day, ne? So I just hope ukuthi manje that 10 minutes break is gonna give you enough time ukuthi manje nishawe umoya so that you can focus. I know ukuthi manje mawuqeda ukudla vele sometimes unokuphatha ubuthongonyana ne uzodinga umoya. So the short break is now until 25 to, ne? Then we're gonna get into our last session. Right? Kube yimi ngabe sengiphumile nokuphuma. Kube sengiphumile
before we get here, actually, I just want us to do just a small exercise. Does everybody have their phones with them? Their smartphone? Even if you don't have, if somebody's next to you has it, it's fine. Right now, just please take a picture. Take a photo of anyone. Something, anyone. Just take a picture using your phone. Right? And then when you're done, please tell me. Are you done? Done, okay. Do you take a picture? Do you take a picture? All right, so everybody took a picture. We're happy. I like that pose. All right. Okay. Hold on to that picture, all right? When we're done with the lesson, we'll go and review that picture. Is that okay? Yeah. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna go into lighting. The most important 3 rules of lighting. So, when you're taking a photo, your subject must be facing the light. That's the number 1 rule. Number 2 is that your subject must actually not, the light must not be behind your subject. All right? So normally you will see, especially if the sun keeps dipping in and out, you know, it means your subject must actually face the sun. And then if, number 2, you cannot have the sun behind your subject, because then that will create your photos to not look proper lighted, you know, that actually makes your photo look really, really bad. And then shade is your friend. So in other words, if there is no sun at all, that gives you beautiful, beautiful pictures. Are we still together? Okay. So because of time, I think the practical demo that I was going to do, we can probably do it on the other practical examples that I have for you. So number 2, we're still in theory, right? I want to find out, not looking at the screen for now, just everybody look at me. I just want to ask a question. Does everybody understand the word composition? Anybody? Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anybody else who wants to try? That's good. That's true. Anybody else? There's no right or wrong. We are learning from each other, right? Anybody? Okay, so in a simple form, like simplest way to explain it is that composition, it's the layout. So, like, you see, I'll try to even put it down for you. It says how everything is arranged in the picture. So it's putting everything together. So your phone is already good, right? The difference between normal photo and a professional photo is the person, how you place things and frame them. That's the difference. So, and composition has different steps. So I'm gonna start with step 1. Anybody knows what grade is? Grade. Ah, I love it, eh? You're a photographer, eh? I love it. That is true, actually. So it's the line. Do you know what they are for?
Yeah, it helps you to capture to position your objects.
Right. Okay. That's true, actually. So it's called rule of third. So I'm going to teach you now what professional photographers use. They use this in all their pictures. It doesn't matter if it's a group photo, it's a portrait, it doesn't matter what it is. They use rule of third. So for your photos to be professional, you have to use rule of third. And I'm going to show you from your phones before we even see it on the camera. All right? So from your phones, if you go on your camera settings, you can take your phone. If you go on your camera settings and you go on grid, I don't know if you just have to switch it on for you to see the lines. You know what, can you just go down so they can be able to see the lines I'm talking about? So it's something like this. Did you get it? Oh, great. Is everybody sorted? You found it, right? Yes. Okay, perfect. So, these lines are your best friends. These lines are your best friend, right? So, can you, down again? Down? No, no. All right, yeah. So these lines are your best friends. So as you can see from your screen, from your phone, right? They're divided into 9 blocks. Are we following? Are we good? So with those 9 blocks, those are your magic spots. And your pictures always have to cross the line. That's what creates a professional photo. Always crosses the line. So what to remember, don't put people in the middle. Okay, please go up. Okay, up as well. All right, sorry guys. So, when it comes to grid, this is rule of third, right? You don't put people here. You don't put people here. You see this? This is what we call middle. So, all the time, you put your subjects. It doesn't matter, even if I was shooting this, it doesn't matter what you're shooting. You put people according to the lines. And even better, when you put your subject intersecting. This intersects. Even better. Are we following? Any questions so far?
You said intersect.
Yeah, so when you have a good picture, right, is you put your pictures crossing the line, right? But you eyes are there, thank you. That means that's a beautiful professional photo. You see what I mean? So meaning you would put your subject on the left or on the right.
So you can't put the object inside the box,
So you can't.
in the intersection.
Here. That's a bad photo. I don't know if this is clear enough, right? But let's start with the first photo there. Can you see? Where you see those yellow, is everybody able to see? Yeah. So when you see those yellow parts there, can you see? Yeah, so that is what we call a professional photo. You see, even when you're shooting landscape, look at this photo here. Can you see where the line is crossing? You look at this, even all of them, right? You are able to see. I don't know if they're able to share these slides, but I think because of time, we'll just continue and then we'll just do it practically. And then let's just see some examples. Okay, that I've already explained. Let's go up. Up, we are continuing. I don't know, should I call it? Okay, so I'm gonna show you now examples of one person photo, right? So we turn on the green, we move a person either to the left or to the right, and then their eyes are always on top of the line. So now we'll see, can you please continue? All right, can you see that? That's rule of third. Can you see her eyes? That's how you position your pictures if you want to do a full frame. And then let's continue, please. Can you see our subject? So that's how you position your subject. You put them on the left of frame or the right of frame. But can you see her eyes? They intersect between the two, between the lines. All right? And then same. Is everybody happy with this? All right, let's go up. All right, so this part I think I've already explained. You did see the lines. So now we're gonna do a practical activity, right? So what I would like you to do is just pair up, and then one will stand, take a picture, using what we've just explained now. Can we do that? Just pair up, and then take a picture. The other one takes a photo, the other one. So let's stand up, and then pair up, and take a photo. Does everybody understand what I've just explained now? So we're gonna use grid for that. We're gonna use grid. So we're gonna use grid for that, right? Yeah. So you either, one person stands, and then either the photographer puts the subject on the left, or the photographer puts the subject on the right. And then using crossing of the lines, rule of third. All right? All right, let's see. We're just gonna take just 1 minute for this exercise. Yeah. Oh, are we good? Okay, are we good? Is everybody happy? Everybody's happy? Let's come back. Okay. Let's come back. That's the one. That's the one. Left of frame. So, because this exercise is about left or right of frame. That's a good picture. So, I'm just going to pause this for now and then we continue. Okay, so with that same exercise, we're now gonna use the camera. All right? So who wants to volunteer to shoot now with the camera? Yeah, please come. Same exercise, right? So, so this camera, I don't know if everybody knows this one, but it's a Canon 5D Mark IV. Right? So this camera, it does photography and videography. And videography is 4K, and then it's 30 megapixels. Right? Yeah. So, lessons about handling a camera. Right? Yeah. Do you know? Have you used it? Share with them. Share with them. Tell them how to handle a camera.
So one,
Yeah.
so shalala, man. And so the thing will be it's expensive. Oh, that do work. So shalala, and so there's a screen. There's the one that you put your eye in, and then there's the one that I love for this one. This one is because it makes you take a good picture and a nice picture if you want to take a picture. So I need to skip this. So can I?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, again, light TV is very important. Light TV is very important. There's a lot. There's a lot that I can explain. So should I explain?
Okay, give them 3 basics.
Okay, there is also
yeah.
a thing called ISO.
3 only. Yeah.
ISO. You know ISO. So ISO, it's also it works with lighting. So if you capture a man, you mix too much. Was also check with the ISO you make. Understand?
It's like filter.
Like I'm gonna be too bright and stuff. You know ISO.
It's a similar example that you just made. It's just that with photography, it's called an ISO. So with photography, with videography, you use filters, right? But also, even with videography, you have ISO, right? Remember when you're shooting videography, you will see there's an ISO, and then you have your ND filters. So, but then with photography, it's called an ISO. So it's light sensitivity, to put it in a simplest form, right? Yeah, and then that's the first one. And the second one?
Second one, okay.
Okay, I'll simplify it before he takes a photo. So there's 3 main settings on camera. One is the ISO that he just referred to, which is light sensitivity. Number 2, there's aperture. So aperture, it's about your depth of field, right? And basically what depth of field means, which we're going to do it practically even, is if my subject is standing here, and I'm standing here, or maybe let's say a few meters away actually, and I'm standing here, it depends on how much blurriness I want behind my subject. That is called depth of field. So if I want to blur out, as my subject is standing here, and I want to blur out the background, it depends on the kind of lens that I use. It depends on the kind of aperture I use. Are we together? Yeah. It works for that, yes. So, yes. So if I don't want my background to blur, my aperture has to go up, right? But if I want my background to blur, my aperture has to go down, right? But then, because when you're taking a photo, a good photo, you have to apply these 3 things. So you can't take an aperture high and you still keep your ISO as it is, and you still keep your shutter speed as it is. It doesn't work like that. You have to use them together. So the third one is shutter speed. Now this is when you're using a professional camera, right? Shutter speed. What shutter speed does is that when somebody waves like this, right? If your shutter speed is low, it will give a blaring like this. Do you understand? But if your shutter speed is high, even if a person does this, it will just be smooth. You will get a crystal picture. But depending on how you set your settings. Are we still together? Okay, so back to our practical activity that he's going to take now using the camera, right? So the grid is there. So you will probably take a picture of her using the grid. Yeah, take a picture of her using the grid. Yeah, so if you switch on your camera, and then maybe another person can. Yeah, so I know you love using this way, but for the purpose of this exercise, let's use this so that everybody can understand. Yeah. Let's see. So you're putting your subject where? Left of frame, right of frame. Okay. So he's choosing to put the subject on the left of frame. I think you know better. Maybe two people can come and see what he's doing. Two people or three even, whoever can surround him, just to have an understanding of what he's doing currently.
See, this one you click maybe this one. There's a focus. So it's making.
Happy? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, no, you lose more. I just want to at least. So this is the picture that he just took. Okay. So just move around. How's that? Beautiful. Let's see. Let's just do it quickly, just so that everybody can have an understanding of love it, right? Yes. Okay, so for now, before we continue, are we having an understanding how grid works? Everybody's happy, right? All right, so there's no questions. Because that was just for one person, right? So now we can move on. So grid, when there's two people, if it's a couple, for instance, and you want to take them together, or two people hugging, right? You will take them as one subject. You will take them as one subject. So those two heads that you see, it's one subject, right? So, okay, I'll show you the example now. He'll show you an example of two people still crossing the line. So rule of third, it doesn't matter how many people are there, all right? Okay. So when two people are there, you're either gonna, if you don't wanna put them together, you will put one on the left or one on the right. Jovi, please, Francisco. Sorry about that. So you'll put one person on the left or one person on the right, to create that rule of third. So you are able to separate them as long as if you separate them, you still keep them keep them on the line, right? On top. And the line always has to be on top. That's where their faces have to cross, right? Their eyes have to cross. Their heads have to cross. It's on top of the line. Are we clear? All right, so yeah, as they are going, I'm moving on. Oh, okay. They're here. So you see what we mean. This is two people now. Are we happy? All right. We can move on. Same. You see? The other one, right of frame. The other, this is still crossing the line. Happy? Let's see another one. You can go down. See? Still crossing the line. So that's what professional photographers do. In all their, this is what they do. So we can continue. So I think because of time, we'll do these practical examples almost at the end. Let's go now for 3 people. So for 3 people, there's a rule called a triangle rule. So if there's 3 people, you don't put them like this on a straight line. A triangle rule, it means that a person that is in the center would be the one that's here. This is our grade now, right? Now, the other 2 people have to form a slight triangle. So they would move in slightly like this. Do you see? Or slightly like that. But they are creating a triangle rule. That photo is what will make your photo look expensive. That's what professional photographers do in all their photos. Are we happy with the triangle? I like that, and it's true. I mean, they don't have to be this close, right? Go down, please. Let's continue. I mean, look, if there's 3 men, most probably you won't want that kind of photo, right? Which is perfectly okay. So what you will do, you will still keep the rules. So one man will be standing here, like boss, right? And the other one will cross the line on the left. The other one will cross the line on the right.
So they're allowed to cross the line.
As long as you apply rule of third. It's not a must that they must be close to each other. Do you understand? Yeah, so they can be here, boss, center, done. Happy? Okay. And now 4 people. This must balance. If there's 4 people, we must balance all the time. So you have 4 people, so you're gonna split them. 4 people causes 2 subjects. Remember, for 2 people, I said you take 2 people as 1 subject, right? So now 4 people, 2 subjects. So you're gonna separate the 2. You're gonna split them, but they're still together. And the most important thing about having 4 people on the photo is that it must be full frame. Okay, so that's an example of what I mean when I say full frame, right? So when you take this kind of photo, you're not gonna stand too far from your subject, right? You're gonna prefer to be closer, especially, which we're gonna do everything practical, of course, right? Using our phone, using the camera as well, right? So for instance, if you take this photo using your phone, and you take it from here, and the group is there, and you now zoom. You zoom with your phone. You are actually not zooming, you are cropping the picture. That's why you will then see that your photo has bad quality. You know? So with the phone, how you zoom is you literally moving to the subject. So if I want to take a picture of her at closer, I must come to her and take it. Are we following? Yeah, so that's how you take a picture. Because once you start zooming, you are actually cropping, you're not zooming. And that's why even the picture of the quality will be bad. Now, when we use a camera, our photographer didn't switch over a camera. But it's okay. Oh yeah. It's me, like, at ease. So, when we use now a camera, right? When we zoom, it doesn't crop. Zoom is how these lenses are Are we clear? Okay. So as we continue, we'll do the practical activity of it again. Let's move on. A big group photo. This one is quite easy, right? Here, there's no left, there's no right. Here, let me just say, no. You go back to group photo. Yeah. So here, a group photo is, as I was saying, it's quite very easy. Forget about left, right. These now, it's a lot of people, right? So what you do is that the most important rule about this one is that you make sure that the line, we still apply rule of thirds, right? But we make sure that the line of the first people that are on top, it's crossing them like this. Are we together? Yeah, so it must still cross, right? And with a group photo as well, we make sure that there's no spaces here. There must never be so much, like we must never see the sky. It must be so tight. It must be full frame. And, okay, let's continue just slightly. I want to just say these points because, you see, when we take a group picture, okay, that part I've already explained, no empty sky above heads. Never leave empty sky above a group photo. Are we good? Okay. So in summary, rule of third, without looking, can we not look at, actually, can we not see this? Let's see. In summary, yeah, let's see. Okay, who can give me the first one? In summary, rule of third, grid, how it works. Hand up, let's see if we understand composition, if we understand, yeah, what I've just explained, rule of third. Number one. Just mention one, eh? Yeah, one. Lighting. Okay. So, you are right. So, I just want you to explain grid. So, if it's one person, what would we say?
They must be on the cross.
There you go, and?
Be positioned away from the box. Like not just avoid putting them in the box.
In the center.
In the center.
Yeah, correct. And who can add to that? He's right. Who can add? We are still on one. If you are taking a picture of one person, we are still on that one. Add to that, yeah?
The eyes must be above the mouth.
Nice one. Still adding? Yes?
I think the subject could be here the room with
Perfect. Love it. Okay, I'm happy. All right. And then two people.
It's one subject.
You're waiting to answer. Okay, that's true. That's very true. Still crosses the line. Still. Okay, three people. Okay. All right. And now this one again, we're going to put up our hand. Four people. Four people.
two subjects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then who can add to that? That's true. You say? Balance. Love it. Yes. And then who wants to add the last one? On the four still. Yes?
Make sure that there's no sky above.
Yes. Okay. So, and to add also to that, who wants to try again to add? And even if they're together, they are still one subject, right? They will still cross the left and the right, right? Perfect. Last one, big group. Big group. If we're taking a big group, we always have to use grid. Not when we feel like it. Not when we feel like it. I mean, I get it with the professional photographer. We are in the same group, right? With them, right? Yeah, so we always have to use grid. So, who wants to try the last one? Yeah?
They should be as squeezed in as possible.
Yep, love it. And then add to that. line must cross here. I get babangata, they have, mathematical steps, maybe, So the first ones, they have to cross the line. Okay, and last one, still on the same group. Perfect. All right, so are we happy with that? Any questions? No questions, okay? Yes?
But like, it's not concerning the like, I also understand why digital pictures over a while seem to like lose quality, even though it's like it's just stored like maybe if you post on Instagram maybe 2 years ago, it won't like if you do together have like the same quality, but like the
Okay, so,
it's like it loses pixels.
yes. You actually answered yourself. So when you shoot with a phone, it's not necessarily, remember even our phones, okay, my phone is like a 2019 phone, right? But, it's 2 megabytes. It's a good picture. I can print using my phone, right? But remember now, when you want to enlarge it, and also when you export, so when you send someone, after you take a picture using your phone, there's HD. I don't know if some of you use that, because if you don't use that and you send it as is, it won't send with the same quality versus if you had sent it via HD. Do you get it, right? So even if you use a phone, make sure all the time that when you send photos, you send them via HD. And then when you export them with high quality. Do you understand? So that's how, even with this, I can tell you if I export with low quality, the pixels will still fall. Because the more you stretch your picture, that's what pixels are, right? So the more you stretch your picture, they shot a billboard photo when we were doing an exercise. You guys, right? Yeah. So the more you stretch it, the more it loses what? Pixels. Right? So when you export, even when you use a professional equipment, you still export with high quality. You rather have 2 exports. I always do 2 exports. I export for high quality when I send to client, just in case they want to put on a billboard, right? And then I export with low resolution. So it's called high resolution and low resolution. So what they both do, because remember, low resolution is for internet. Do you understand? So if you export for low resolution and say maybe you put your picture to be 2 megabytes, it will be good. It will be good. It will be good. But if you export your picture to be, let's make an example, 500K, low kilobytes, you see, then that's why you will have that problem.
Or like, that's why when you post maybe like screenshots on someone's phone, it will show the as much quality as
Yes. Okay, are we good? Yeah?
I wanted to ask about shutter speed.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you adjust based on that subject you're shooting?
Yes.
What's the relationship between object and shutter speed?
Yes, and we're going to do it practically actually. I think that's why I'm even rushing, because I want us to do it practically. But I will just answer it quickly. So the relationship between, you mean your subject and the shutter speed, right? So I'll try to simplify it quicker. So for instance, if I put my shutter speed now, right, on, let's say, 1/1000, right? And my subject moves faster. The relationship between the two is that if my subject moves faster, my picture will be clear. If I put my shutter speed on 1, let's say 1/80, for example, right? If my subject moves, my subject will be blurry. So that is the relationship of a shutter speed. That's how it functions. But now, remember what I said earlier. You don't just use shutter speed to control your composition. Remember, we always need to always remember composition in whatever we do, right? So you will use your shutter speed, you will use your ISO and aperture together in one frame. We're gonna do it practically. All right. So, is it still good? Yeah. All right. So, just a quick trick. We are there. Let's just try and move a bit faster, Yana. Most beginners, I think I mentioned this right. Most beginners stand far from the photo, right? From the subject. Sorry. Most beginners stand very far from the subject. So when you take your photo, move closer. That I think I've already explained. I think we are clear on that, right? Okay. If your photo isn't good, you move closer. Quick trick, hashtag number 2. Very, very important. All photographers, before you take a picture, you look at your background. There might be a bin, a dustbin, there might be a pole, there might be some messy cars, etc., right? So once you start doing this as a photographer, you look, while you are doing that, you are looking at the background. And another most important thing that I want to also mention, when you take a picture of your subject, pay attention to your subject. You know, when you're looking at a person like this, before you take a picture, right? You will see maybe if there's something, maybe there's hair there and there. But once you start doing this gives you a clearer view. So you then tell your subject, can I fix you? If you are comfortable to do that. Or you actually ask them to fix themselves. You know, adjust the collar, right? So that is highly, highly important. So that's important. Background, always clean before you take a picture. And then leading lines, we've spoken about it. So lines guide the viewer's eyes to the person. That's why as professional photographers, they always use the rule of third. You know, just think of when you're walking on the streets, right? The road, that's your line, right? Pavement, you can see it. You know, so that's how, same as when you're taking photos. Same as when you're taking photos. Corridors, you know. So this in summary, if you remember only 4 things today, remember this. Turn on grid. Don't put people in the middle. Move closer to your subject. Check the background. If you do this, your photos will already look professional. Are we happy? If there's 4 things that you have to remember today, these are the 4 things that you always have to bear in mind. You can't even move away from this. Happy? All right, let's move. Now we are almost. Yes? good question. So, if you're gonna put your subject on the center, remember the first photo we saw? It was tight. Tight, 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 right? Remember? And the eyes were crossing the line, meaning no interruption. Now, the left of frame, that's why we just said what we just said now. Check your background. You see what you just mentioned now? You say there's a lot of people, right, moving up and down. Good point. But that's why I didn't mention these things before you took a picture. Do you see? That's why we started off like that first. Because we needed now to apply this going forward. So you won't have that. And also remember, when you're taking a picture using rule of third, naturally, now your background is clean. Even if there's people, like, because now, when you take a picture, you always tap, you always use focus, right? Where you're crossing the lines. So your picture, your subject will be focused. And then your background will be blurry. And automatically when somebody looks at a picture, if your picture is not crossing the line, normally people get distracted. They look everywhere. But if your picture crosses the line, that's the first thing they see. Are we good? All right. All right, we are almost ending, but I want us to just talk about angles, you know, storytelling. This is one of my favorite as well as a photographer. I always say photography and videography tell stories, right? Just that the other one is in motion, right? The other one is still. So when you, and you know, photography is broad, as we know, right? It's huge. So it doesn't matter what you're shooting or what you're focused on. You always have to tell a story. And it's done by angles. So as you see, where are we now? Oh, so you're on part 2, okay. So before part 2, okay, yeah. So as you see, low angle. So now, as a photographer as well, I mean, we know this, right, as photographers. You can't just want to be positioned at one place, right? You want to move. If it means you going down, you will go down, right? If it means you lying with your flat tummy, you would, right? And you know, there's a saying that says, anything for the shot, right? Yeah, anything for the shot. So, low angle. Now you want to take, you want to make this person look powerful, right? And then you decide, now I'm going to go long angle. Low, low, low. Like I'm going to go, bend, take a picture. And the person is standing like boss, right? And it makes them look powerful. When another person sees that picture, that's what they will see, right? And high angle, you know, when you look down like this, taking your photo, right? Phone. You are making that subject a little bit smaller. It plays a good role at certain places, but not all the time. You would find that when you shoot charity, I'll just make a quick example. When you shoot at charities, right? Organization that deal with charity. One of my clients is a charity organization. And they don't do, it's exactly that. You don't take pictures like that. You know? It always has to be eye level. All the time, right? And their main reason is simply because the kids feel intimidated. That's how they interpret it. You know, so it doesn't always work at certain, so your eye level will be normal.
Also like a dog,
Hmm?
like dogs, not like you interact with them.
Oh, yes.
When you are
Oh yes, oh yes,
their level.
oh yes, that's true, yes.
Because they
Exactly.
intimidate you.
Exactly, exactly. So that's the reason, right? So now, I think now, okay, this one's a quick one. Part 2, it's just to say, when we use phones, same as when we use camera, we clean our lens. That's the first thing. All right, it's important. Camera lens uses a different thing. So you find other photographers, ooh, they take their jerseys. I hope you don't do that. They take anything quick, like, no, no, no. Yeah, you see, you're gonna scratch your lens. You know, these lenses are very expensive, right? So you can imagine, once you scratch your lens, it's gone. It's gone. You have to get another one. Now you have to go again now to NYDA and say, yo, I've scratched my lens, right? I mean, it's 50K. And they're gonna give you. For negligence, they won't. So, always use proper lens clean cloth.
What if like it gets stolen?
You buy another one.
They won't buy from me.
You mean what if what gets stolen? I thought you meant
No, like the camera.
the camera.
Yes.
Hey, we have to insure them. Hey, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's why we must, you know, it's true, actually. Your point is so valid. They stole my lens. 3 years ago, one of my lenses. And it's the same shoot I was shooting at a year before. But because it's a corporate, you know, you think, everybody, we are here, you know, for the same reason. And I just put it there because it's easy for me, right? If I want to do a wide shot, I just change lenses. If I want to zoom, you know, they took it. We went to the security, we saw that woman. She actually wore the same uniform as the people that were working there. And we see everything what she does, and she was gone.
So she was never came back. She wasn't working there.
No. She had like a, you know, those woolies bag. Yeah, she just did that. My lens is gone. So, yeah, it happens. And, you know, I've learned to be more wiser, to not be too comfortable. So, I think, yeah, it was a lesson, a painful one, but yeah. Okay, so now, when it comes to part 3, right, your phone and the camera. So what the phone does is that it zooms. Your phone automatically, right? It puts everything together for you, right? So if I want to take a picture now, automatically, that's okay. Okay. Okay, so they say time. And I really want us to just at least do something quickly. Okay, but I just wanted to explain quickly about, let me quickly explain this on part 3, because I'm almost done anyway. So our phone does this automatically, but the camera, we have to control it. So this is, I was referring to the blurriness. Remember earlier on I explained about depth of field. So now what we're going to do is just a quick one. We'll use the camera showing depth of field, because this lens is what will show you exactly what we're talking about when we talk about depth of field, right? So because of time, we had to do these practicals, if you continue. But now, because of time, it seems like we don't have time to do these practicals. So, okay, how many minutes? 10.
We are left with 2 now.
10 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so before, I think what I would like us to do quickly, and now I'm feeling under pressure. Okay, so I would like us to just for everybody just to feel how a camera feels like, right? And maybe just some of you just take a picture. Is that okay? Are we good? Okay. So who's coming? So that we can explain, as I explained, if somebody can come through. Yeah? So, you're gonna now use depth of field, right? He gave a lesson, he gave a proper lesson. Okay? He says you do that safety first, right? And then do the camera. Right? So, you want to look from here or from there?
I think this one is cool.
Okay. So remember you use rule of third, you use the same rule.
So what's number 2?
So, that there is even positive.
So what that
So, or to shoot.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. So this is called the zoom lens, right? And it's 70 to 200. Yeah, so it can zoom in right to her there and give you a tight close-up. So that's what I was explaining, that with camera, that's what you do. You know, because when you're shooting, sometimes you're not able to get there, right? But now with the phone, it's the same thing. You just use your feet, right, to get the best quality.
So it's about the 2 now.
Yeah, position him.
What do you want?
Yeah,
Look, it blends the back where he's positioned, but then the front is not clear. So the
So-
back you get clear, blend the front.
yeah. So what you would do, you zoom in, right? So this is zoom in, okay? So you see him? Can you see? Just like this? Can you see? Yeah. No. You zoom in, then you will then tap. Then you shoot. Can you see? So you get focus, then you shoot. Yeah. And still applying rule of third. You see now, your rule of third, you see it has moved. You see, it's in the block. So, can you see? So your rule of third is crossing the lines. Yes, that's what I was saying. And once you position, you do what? Tap. Yeah, so I just want to mention one last important thing. So when you use a phone, one thing that I had to mention that was very important. When we take pictures, right, using our phone, let's always remember how we should also hold our phones, right? So when you take a picture, some of you are like, you know, they're taking someone, they're like, right? Remember, hold your phone with 2 hands all the time. Then, one finger is the one that will tap for focus. Remember, we are now professionals, right? So if I'm gonna take a picture of you, I'm gonna come closer, right? And then I'm gonna tap. You see? And then I'm putting you on left of frame. Now, can you see that? Yeah, so we don't use one hand because now with one hand is what makes our photos to be a little bit blurry. Because now you're trying to tap and then, you know, but if you hold it, it stills. Did you take it?
No.
Okay. All right, because of time, let me close. I love what I do. Remember, I started shooting when I was 9 years. I'm still here for a little bit, ne? So what we'll do, those that want to play with the camera with me will do that, ne? Hold it, let's play kanyani, ne? But let me just close by saying this, please. You don't need an expensive equipment. Okay? Everybody, are we together?
Yes.
We do not need an expensive equipment. You can start today. Social media needs creators, right? Businesses need photographers. All businesses need photographers. Do we agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And videographers, right? Do we agree?
Yes.
Yeah. Your phone is your first camera for those that don't have a camera. All right? And so when you leave here, don't go back taking random pictures. Take photos with purpose. Take photos with confidence. Take photos to tell a story. The difference between an ordinary photo and a powerful photo is how you think. Don't think small, think Don't think, small think. Thank you.
Hey, kunabantu abathanda umsebenzi wabo. You say 2 minutes, they even go for another 5 minutes. Now I understand why badla plate I-10. If there's a function somewhere. Yeah, it is a lot of work. If I'm gonna be lying down there, bese ngithola that perfect picture. I'm telling you, I know I deserve a 12 plate. When I'm getting married, I'll invite you. Ngizokushaya nga-10. Okay, but thank you so much for coming through, and thank you so much, guys, for your time. As we are about to say goodbye, ngiyabona ukuthi nikhathele ne, it's been a long day. But just before we close, I just want to know from you, Uti, how was day 1 of the workshop? Good. What is it that you learned? Yeah. Sure.
Today I've learned some other things through content creation, and yeah, I'm glad to be here and learning about content. Now I'm shooting content.
Yeah, since Spanish agreed, must shoot manje angisho. How about the rule of third? Yeah.
Also, you have to use more videos, take a make a content about these people. This is people I've met with, this is what I've done, this is what I've produced, this is what I've done today, and stuff. So content, I think it's gonna work.
Can I hear from one last person? Just share with you how was your day for today.